Hello, my name is Lauren Von Elm, and this is my second attempt at Astronomy Homework 2. Um, this is going to be the cut down version of the 40-minute long video, and also a more concise version because I'm actually going to talk about points that I didn't get around to talking about last time. So, yeah, I'm going to be going over Local 58. Amazing. Go watch it on YouTube if you haven't. Highly recommend just all their videos. If you just watch the ones just on the videos, that'll take you like probably less than half an hour. The longest video is 5 minutes. Just there's only like 9 of them. There's a 10th video that you have to find through the playlist. It's unlisted, so you have to go to the playlist to find it, but I'll get to that at the end. That'll be the final video I go over, because it's also the most recent. But yeah, this series is posted on YouTube, and it's created and edited by Chris Starab. I don't think I'm pronouncing that right, but here we go. Anyways, so the first video doesn't really have anything astronomy related. It is really good horror though. I highly recommend it. The second video, contingency. The second video, at the very beginning, it starts with like a sort of broadcast day that you'd see on like those old, TV programs, kind of retro aesthetic. And it's the end of the broadcast day, and there's a message telling people to have a good night, and it's put upon a like sort of transparent photo of the American flag being planted on the moon. And then a bunch of stuff happens. There's a whole like fake like emergency contingency message thing, but basically at the end for a few frames, the message, the 51st state is not a place, pops up, and I'll just go ahead and say it so I don't forget to say it like I did last time. The 51st state is a reference to how after America first put people on the moon, people used to call it the moon the 51st state. And so let's think about that wording. The 51st state is not a place. We're gonna get back to that wording, hopefully, if I remember to go back to the wording. But like maybe you'll put it together yourself. Anyways, the next video is weather service. So as the video turns on, there's an emergency alert system and it's going weather warning. Citizens are advised not to observe this event with the naked eye. There's a weather event going on and you're not supposed to look at it. You're not supposed to look at it with your naked eye. And then that message ends. Seconds later, another screen pops up. This one read, Civil danger alert. Do not look at the night sky. So we've gone from, okay, don't look at this with your naked eye to don't look at the night sky. Just don't look at it. And then seconds later, like literally frames later, it changes to a different font saying the meteorological event is safe for all to view. Warning has been lifted. Go outside now. So we've gone from, okay, don't look. Okay, don't look with your naked eye to just don't look at it to it's safe. Come look. See. So there's a fight over the analog waves of the station because it's being presented at a certain frequency because that's how analog stuff was viewed, and that's why they could be hijacked because they were put on specific frequencies so you could hijack the signal. And so this person is saying, do not look at the moon, face away from all windows, avoid mirrors, do not look up. Avoid mirrors. Why would you do that? Why not just avoid the sky? Why not just avoid the windows? And then there's a tone shift. Like there's a few seconds where we don't get any messages, and then there's a tone shift. It's in the light. The moon came in. He found me. Through the mirror. Moonlight white. white like eyes, not light but blood. I drown in him. If you are afraid, we will look together. And then it cuts to a viewing of the moon. It's kind of like the moon's all right up in here, kind of all big on one side screen, and you hear screaming in the background. You might first assume that this is, people screaming, but I have a different thought that I will bring up eventually. I promise. I'm gonna circle around this time. Video 4, uh, more of a trailer, channel trailer. It's like 14 seconds, nothing really interesting. Uh, the frequency that the place apparently, Local 58 apparently broadcasts at is 476 megahertz, so that's just a fun fact. And then we get to video 5, Show for Children. Ooh. This is presented as a cartoon for kids that's being played at 4:15 a.m. is the time slot for this. What child is up at 4:15 a.m.? Person is up at 4:15 a.m. and why would you be watching this? But it's depicting this little skeleton guy named Cadaver, super cute. And as he's walking through a graveyard, you can see in like this upper corner right here, where I have my hand, there's a cartoon moon watching him and smiling in the background. And it's that sort of old timey cartoon creepy smile where it's like that. Well, with the teeth, it's like that kind of. So Cadaver looks into a grave and sees a much more realistically rendered skeleton with super sharp pointy teeth. It looks like needles for teeth, and its hands are up like this, like uh again. So he runs away, he finds another grave, looks in it, and this time when he looks in it, you can see because like they have like the side of the grave, so it's like angled a bit so it goes across the screen. In this top corner here, you can actually see a little sliver of the moon, like kind of peeking it over, like it's looking into the grave with him. And this time, inside this grave, instead of a dead body, it's oh, there's an alarm, sorry. It's this weird beaked kind of fetus looking thing. It kind of makes a sound with a weird crick. And there's all these like little fleshy tendril stands. Keep those fleshy tendril strands in mind. So the next shot, as Cadaver is walking along in the graveyard again, the moon is no longer smiling. When it looked in the last grave with Cadaver, it saw this thing and it's no longer smiling. And now it's just looking at him like this. Like there's a tone shift with this moon. And its pupils have gotten significantly smaller as well. It's like freaked or angry or something. I don't know. It's hard to read emotions on a cartoon moon. Um, but yeah, Cadaver does some stuff. He goes down this last grave that he finds because there's a hole in it. So he goes down the hole and he eventually finds this like plot in this big cave that has like the hole opening of a grave up above him, and he lies down in like the light bit, like the light shining down in the shape of the grave, just down there. And he's laying down there and he's normal. He's normally animated, right? This is a cute little fun little skeleton guy. And then it shows the moon, a very photorealistic moon with a photoshopped like eye just kind of peeking over like this. And it peeks over the edge of the grave, and we look back and Cadaver is dead. Like, yes, he was a skeleton before, but now he's like realistically rendered. His clothes are gone. He's dead. And that's the end of the short. Great fun for the kids. I'm sure that won't have consequences later in life. You will not need to pay therapy for that, I'm sure. Um, but yeah, so the moon, he was laying down, looking up at the moon. When the moonlight came in, he died. Crazy. So video 6, a look back, it's another short one. It just has a few little bits and pieces here and there. There's just a few little cutaway lines. We send signals to ourselves through their domain. Did we really believe they wouldn't add their own? Ooh, spooky. Video 7, Real Sleep. It's a great horror video. I will say, there's a bit in it where it's like follow along and like you're supposed to look at the faces and stuff, and there's like actual legitimate subliminal messaging that can happen. If you follow along with that, that can have an effect on your sleep cycle. Don't watch that video really deep at night if you plan on sleep. Um, warning, um, uh, it is a proven thing that will work. So like watch out for that. It's not just spooky in the analog horror sense, it's spooky in the fact that it will work on you. Um, so watch out for that, but it's not relevant to the analyst. I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that. Okay. Whew, sky watching. This is a big one. So this is at 12 a.m. This is midnight. So we're opening title. We have like the fancy like graphic thing, and it cuts away. It gets hijacked and replaced with just like camcorder footage with red text saying Skywatch. And that red text continues throughout the entire thing. All the text is red, being overlaid on the photo of the guy using the camcorder. So he zooms in on 3 stars, and that says it's Orion's belt. And note the very bright clearness of the stars and the equal sizing and everything, and it's very clearly like edited in stars. I don't know if they're in the correct space in the sky or if he just was like or if it was just a clarity thing. I'm not sure. But first he goes Orion's belt, and then he zooms in Pleiades, which is apparently possibly I think another name for the Big Dipper. I researched this and I wrote part of it down, but I didn't clarify. Anyways, and then he zooms in on the moon, and it's called his throne, not the moon, his throne. Oh, oh, he. Um, and so he zooms in on the moon. By the way, amazing camera to be able to zoom in and get clear shots of the moon. Um, and also it's a like a gibbous moon, but like the shadow is coming from the bottom up, so it's very clearly photoshopped in because the shadow is sideways. I don't believe there's ever a situation on Earth where you would be looking up at the moon and the shadow would appear to be going downwards. I don't think that's possible. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But uh, so they zoom in, and the moon, there's dust moving across the moon, like wind or something is making it move, which I believe, I don't know if it was discussed in class yet, but that doesn't happen on the moon. That's why like Neil Armstrong's like footprints are still intact, because there's no wind on the moon. But here, there's dust moving. And then it looks fleshy, like those tendrils we saw before in Show for Children. It's the same type of looking tendrils and stuff. And so, and then it, points to different areas on the moon. And at one point, we've seen these round and triangular formations. Like, it looks like a city was built on the moon. Why, how, we're not sure exactly what the hell that was about. Like, the creator has poked fun at the theory of aliens before, so we're like 99% sure it's not aliens. Like, he's basically all but flat out said it's not aliens. So, if it's not aliens, then why is there like a perfectly triangular arrow looking thing on the moon? And why are these like city looking castle things on it? Like the fleshy tendril stuff, like, yeah, I can get behind that. The castle thing? I'm still confused about. Um, so then the tape gets blurry for a moment, and it zooms out, and the moon is just gone. The moon is gone from the sky. There wasn't like a cut, it just faded from view. and then he fiddles with the camera a bit, and when we get back, the moon is huge. It is closer to Earth. There is, I think, either an alarm or screaming going on in the background. Um, and you can see in the moon, kind of hunched in it, is this giant bird looking thing. And the red text that pops up says rejoice. Um, rejoice in this thing. Um, so, needless to say, in terms of astronomy, the moon doesn't move like that. It doesn't just disappear and reappear with a giant, bony, bird faced looking thing. By the way, his throne could also be another way of saying it's an egg. That's my personal, like, I've heard it as a theory that, like, the moon is an egg and, you know, his throne was just, you know, whatever the people's way of just being like, oh, it's his throne. But with the fleshy tendril stuff and what we saw in Show for Children, um, we saw, you know, the fleshy, like, bird-looking beaked thing that kind of went, ah! And that would match with, like, the sort of owl-faced looking thing we saw. I mean, the beak shape's different, but, like, there's clearly something, like, hunched in it, like this. It's looking like that. So that was crazy. Yeah, there's screaming in the background, and then it's either coming out of the moon or it's sitting in the moon. It looks like a bird owl skull. So I'm gonna loop back to, do you remember how we said the 51st state is not a place? Yeah, the 51st state isn't a place. The moon isn't a place. It's a throne. It's an egg. It's whatever this thing is. It's not a place. It's a being. Man, and this is why I wanted to analyze analog horror for this, because it just comes up with the craziest stuff. But let me keep going before we go on too long. So video 9 is digital transition. The people who worship the moon are not happy that they're transitioning from analog to digital because the moon was able to interfere with analog signals, but digital signals are less easily able to be hijacked. So, but by moving from analog to digital, the cult people are now hijacking it themselves. So it's like, you know, I'm thinking they moved to cut his throat only to make 1,000 mouths. If he is silenced, we will speak for him. Signs and wonders. And here's the interesting part. Signs and wonders flood our little sky. No stars above us, only eyes waiting to open. There are other receivers. No stars above us, only eyes? If the moon is his throne, if the moon is an egg, then what are stars? What's the Earth? What are the other planets? What else is out there? Oh! Yeah, so crazy. Um, let's see, anything else in particular? Not really. So, video 10, close. This is the one where you have to go into the playlist and find it there. But this is the one I think you'd really appreciate. My teacher, my astronomy teacher, would really appreciate because it's basically like a live stream of a like lander orbiter mission where they're gonna land a camera thing on a asteroid, but it's analog horror, so of course things happen, but we're not there yet. And let me say, this guy did his research with this. Like, it is by presented by Space and Aeronautics Regulatory Oversight, which is not a real thing. It's not a real company. I looked it up. It's not real. But like close mission, Cometary Lander Orbiter Survey Expedition, mission to 57838 Eidolon. By the way, eidolon is another word for a phantom or ghost. That's gonna be fun. So, like, the whole thing is, like, you can't really make out specific surface details on it because it's really hard to make out because there's a rapid rotation, and high albedo, which is the ratio of reflected to incident light, or another way of saying that is a fraction of sunlight diffusely reflected by a body. It's basically how much sunlight is being reflected. It's a reflectability of something. So, because of rapid rotation and high albedo, since being discovered in 2006 in the analog in Local 58's universe, they just haven't been able to make the surface details. And it's shown in this really interesting live stream thing where, like, they have little fun facts popping up. It feels like something NASA would do. Like, it feels like, yeah, if NASA was to live stream, like, an strong, like, landing on a comet or something, like, this is how I imagine it would be. This feels right. Um, so, like, when the thingy, it never clarifies exactly what it is. I I don't know whether to call it a comet or an asteroid or what, or a meteor. I just know, like, it's a big rock going through space, and the shadows make it look like a skull at certain angles, so it's gotten the nickname Face in Space and Comet Skull. Um, One of the quotes is asteroids with a it's an asteroid, there we are. Asteroids with comparably high surface reflectivity often contain no iron, instead being mostly pyroxene silicates. And fun fact about pyroxenes, they are a group of silicate materials that are common in the Earth's crust and are also found in the lunar surface and on Mercury. Connecting back to the moon here. Um, as an Amor class outer Earth grazer, Eidolon never approaches closer to the sun than the Earth does at any point on its orbit. And yeah, Amor class asteroids are a real classification. The orbit orbit airline of the object is close to but greater than the orbital aphelion of Earth, which with most Amors crossing the orbit of Mars. I don't think I'm pronouncing those right, but I'm trying my best. So, uh, this uh, Eidolon is classified as a potentially hazardous asteroid, PHA, which is a real thing. But a safe orbit has been determined for the next 500 years in the universe. Um, so they do some artistic renditions at one point of what the sort of skull face looks like at certain angles, and one of them is just literally just the the skull guy from before from the cartoon that was like with the sharp pointed teeth. It's literally just that face as one of the artistic renditions, and it's like, oh, oh. We're getting creepy because this is a 30-minute long video. Like, this is the longest video you'll have in everything. Like, if you just watch the other videos, you can be done in 20 minutes. This is a 30-minute long video, and they make every second really good. The audio is really muffled. You cannot understand like a single thing they're saying in the background, but so I just kind of skip through it. But like, you can just skip through it easily because there's no real reason to just listen to the fog in the background. But I highly recommend it. Just skipping through the video and finding Gray's point, because during this entire thing, they have this little like chart thing in the corner where it's listing the aphelion, which is 3.39 AU, the periphelion, which is 1.01 AU, the eccentric, 0.55, and the period, the orbital period specifically, which is 3.27 years. So that's 3.27 Earth years, I'm assuming. And an aphelion is the point of a planet's or comet's orbit which is most distant from the sun, which is an opposite of being a periphelion, which is the point at which it's closest to the sun. So, and then they also use the astronomical unit, AU, which is 149 billion 597 million 870,700 meters. Got it. I know I'm looking down a lot, and I'm sorry that's very boring, but like, I'm just reading off this. And the eccentric is how much it deviates from a circular form or path as an elliptical. Oh, wait, we just went over this in class. Hey, I knew I was forgetting something. Yeah, we went over this in class. You know this. I know this. We both know this. This is so fun, but I learned it before class because I wrote this for the 40-minute long video. Um, yeah. So, so at the end of this video, they approach to land on the comet, or the asteroid, my bad. They approach to land on the asteroid. Probably gonna keep calling it a comet on accident. I'm so sorry. And as they get closer, you see a door. There's just a flat out wooden door on this asteroid in one of the little crevices where you normally see the shadow of the eye. In that crevice, there's just a door. I don't think I need to go into why that's not right. Because it's just a wooden, like, with a frame and everything and a doorknob, and it lands right next to the door. And, like, there's all these, like, little error messages and stuff popping up in the corner, because it's like, oh, we're landing, we're landing, we're landing. And then the video cuts as it lands, and then you're angled, kind of looking at part of the door, like, the door is, like, kind of like here, kind of hidden behind a rock. And the frame rate is not great. You know, it's updating every, like, like half a second or something instead of, being very smooth and clean. Um, the door opens, and then the probe camera thing seemingly just gets flung into space. We don't see by what. We don't know how. That amazing horror. Amazing. No idea what's going on. No idea how this relates to plot or whatever is going on. But like props to them because they made this so well. Like, if it wasn't for that last part, like, if you cut out, like, the last, like, 3-ish minutes, I would totally believe this is an asteroid. Like, it's just really well made. I'd believe this was, like, an old recording of, like, well, the graphics and everything is a little bit smooth for, like, whatever time period, for the very grainy quality of it. But like they're going from analog to digital horror. It's whatever. Okay, we're approaching 30 minutes, so I'm gonna stop now. Um, yeah, and then I can't wait to tell you about Gemini Home Entertainments. They have 2 videos that specifically relate to space, so I'll be going over one of each for different videos. So they'll each get their own video to hopefully make the video shorter, and also those videos are long enough that I can actually talk about them for 2 or 3 minutes. But yeah, I highly recommend this to you or anyone you think would be interested in an analog horror video series that focuses on the Earth or on the moon. It's just a great series. I highly recommend you just check out the videos. It's just, I just like it. If you just look at the videos just on the page that's not on the playlist, that's just on their channel. By the way, their channel is just Local 58. If you just look that up, you'll be able to find it easily enough. Um, it's just amazing quality. I gotta stop rambling. I think I've gone over everything. Very sorry if I left anything out. Uh, ooh, dates. I don't have the dates of all these written down. I just know, like, the beginning of the series was, like, 6 years ago. So the first video was posted 6 years ago, and they were both bunch posted, like, 6 years ago. And then the latest one was, I think, just over a year ago now. Like, it was in November 1st, 2022. That was close. Video 10. So, yeah. Um, have a nice night. Bye.